Good morning, listeners of Hot Topic and Fresh News. Today is Tuesday, May 8th, 2024, and we are bringing you the critical updates from around the globe. In our top story, Israel has reopened the Kerem Shalom border crossing, crucial for humanitarian aid into Gaza, following its closure due to a deadly Hamas rocket attack. Meanwhile, the Biden administration has put a temporary hold on the shipment of thousands of bombs to Israel amid rising concerns over a potential ground operation in Rafah. This pause marks the first known delay in U.S. arms shipments to Israel since the October 7 Hamas attack last year. In other news, ceasefire and hostage release negotiations continue in Cairo, with the United States expressing optimism about bridging the gaps between Israel and Hamas. However, the situation remains tense as Israeli troops have taken control of the Rafah border crossing in southern Gaza, effectively halting the flow of aid. Adding to the strife, Israeli settlers have attacked a Jordanian aid convoy destined for Gaza, an incident strongly condemned by U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. On a graver note, the Gaza Health Ministry reports staggering casualty numbers with at least 34,789 people killed and 78,204 injured since the war began. The majority of those killed are reported to be women and children. On the Israeli side, about 1,200 people were killed in the initial Hamas attack on October 7, including over 300 soldiers, with an additional 267 soldiers killed in subsequent military operations. These are today's pressing developments. Stay tuned for more in-depth analysis and updates right here on Hot Topic and Fresh News. Good morning, listeners. I'm your host, Emily, coming to you live from New York City.
And joining you from San Francisco, this is David. Hello.
You're tuned into Hot Topic and Fresh News, bringing you the most pressing news daily. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss an update. Straight to the hot topics. Right, for those just joining us, here's a quick recap of today's major stories. Israel has reopened the Kerem Shalom border crossing to facilitate humanitarian aid into Gaza. Additionally, the Biden administration has paused arms shipments to Israel, signaling growing concerns over military escalations. Negotiations for a ceasefire and hostage release continue in Cairo, while the humanitarian crisis in Gaza worsens with disruptions in aid delivery highlighted by recent attacks on aid convoys.
It's certainly been a day full of critical developments, truly significant.
Absolutely, and the international reactions to these events are just as crucial. The pause in arms shipments in particular, what's your take on that?
Well, it reflects a very cautious approach, doesn't it? It's a complicated situation, and every move seems to be under intense scrutiny. Let's delve deeper into what this might mean for the region. With the recent developments, can you explain the significance of reopening the Kerem Shalom crossing?
Certainly. Reopening this crossing is crucial as it's a primary conduit for humanitarian aid into Gaza. Its closure following the attack had severely hampered the delivery of essential supplies. Reopening it signals a potential easing of tensions and an attempt to mitigate the humanitarian crisis.
And what about the U.S. pausing bomb shipments to Israel? How significant is that in the context of U.S.-Israel relations?
This is a notable shift. It marks the first known delay in U.S. arms to Israel since the October 7 Hamas attack. It reflects growing U.S. concerns about the escalation of conflict, particularly the planned ground operation in Rafah. This pause could be seen as a pressure tactic to temper Israeli military actions.
Talks in Cairo concerning a ceasefire and hostage release are ongoing. What can you tell us about the prospects of these negotiations?
The talks are critical, with the U.S. expressing optimism about closing the remaining gaps between the parties involved. However, the situation on the ground, especially with ongoing military operations and disruptions like the seizure of the Rafah crossing, complicates these negotiations. The outcome remains uncertain amid these tensions.
Could you shed light on the recent attack on the Jordanian aid convoy by Israeli settlers?
This incident is particularly disturbing as it marks at least the second attack on aid convoys in less than a week. Such actions not only hinder aid delivery but also escalate tensions with neighboring countries like Jordan, which has been trying to support Gaza. It's a stark indicator of the volatile and precarious nature of the current situation. Overall, these developments paint a picture of a complex and rapidly evolving conflict scenario where diplomatic efforts are increasingly crucial but challenged by on-ground realities.
The numbers coming out of Gaza are staggering. Could you provide more details on the human impact of this conflict?
Yes, the figures are indeed grim. According to the Gaza Health Ministry, at least 34,789 people have been killed and 78,204 injured since the conflict began. It's important to note that the ministry highlights a significant portion of those affected are women and children, underscoring the severe humanitarian impact of the war.
And on the other side, what does Israel report about its casualties?
Israel has reported that about 1,200 people were killed in Hamas's October 7th attack, which includes more than 300 soldiers. Since then, the ongoing military operations have resulted in the deaths of an additional 267 soldiers. These numbers reveal the heavy toll on both sides of the conflict.
With such significant losses, how are international reactions shaping up, especially in terms of humanitarian aid and diplomatic pressures?
The international community is deeply concerned. Repeated attacks on aid convoys and disruptions in aid flow are prompting calls for stronger international intervention. Diplomatic efforts are intensifying, with multiple nations urging for a ceasefire and a resolution that addresses the underlying issues of the conflict. The attacks on aid efforts, particularly by Israeli settlers, have also drawn severe criticism, complicating diplomatic relations.
It sounds like a complex and evolving situation. What should we be looking out for in the coming days?
Moving forward, the key things to watch are the progress of the ceasefire talks in Cairo, the response of the international community to the humanitarian crisis, and any shifts in military strategies from both sides. It's a volatile situation, and developments can be expected to unfold rapidly. Thanks for tuning into Hot Topic and Fresh News today. We covered the intricate developments in the Middle East and appreciate your engagement. Remember to subscribe and activate notifications so you won't miss out on our upcoming episodes. Sharing our content with your circles on social media or in personal conversations really helps us grow and continue to bring you detailed analysis and updates.
And speaking of updates, make sure to keep an eye on our channel. We're always cooking up something interesting. You won't want to miss what we have planned next. And hey, if you enjoy a bit of wit with your news analysis, this is the place to be.
We're truly grateful for your support and are excited to bring you more insights in our future episodes.
Yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Your involvement makes all the difference. Here at Hot Topic and Fresh News, you get the news, the nuances, and a few laughs.
Stay in the loop, keep your eyes on the news, our channel's content will amuse.